many great fighters that have never achieved what they should have achieved in the sport, not just in terms of legacy and titles, but financially as well.
Yeah, I could certainly think easier ways to make money and make a living. That's for sure.
There's so much wasted talent. There's so many guys talking, sitting in pubs talking about how good they could have been if they maybe tried a bit, or had the dedication.
The harsh truth is, Henry, if you're popular, people will buy tickets to come see the fight. How do you get popular is via being good, but also it's not always about being good.
I couldn't really think of a more, certainly physically demanding career than that of a professional prize fighter, and all of the stuff that comes with it. I mean, the business side of boxing as well.
It's ridiculously tough, and it's not anything I would advise anyone to get involved with. I get it, I like it, I cover it, but to reach that mountaintop is nigh impossible.
Let's solve a pro boxer, Kieran.
This is life. What they don't see, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What they don't see.
Hello everyone, I'm a guy called Henry. A few months ago, I travelled to Glasgow in Scotland to meet professional boxer Kieran Smith. My aim was to make a documentary showing the time in a fighter's life when they're talented and undefeated, but they can't get that next big fight to take them to the next level in their career. I wanted to further understand this period, the realities for a fighter in this situation, and why they're in this situation. Everything was going well, and then the coronavirus happened. We were all locked down, and we've all been quarantining and isolating from one another, and it's changed the way that I'm looking at this project. It's going to have an impact on the sport of boxing, and we don't know what that is. So I'm going to use my time in quarantine to speak to some big names in the sport, to try and learn more about this sort of who needs them club, this stage in Kieran's career that he's at, to try to understand more about it and how he might progress from it. I also want to look at how the coronavirus might impact the sport, both the positives and negatives. And from there, we'll see where we are. Okay, cheers.
I mean, we were just sitting back, chopping it up, reminiscing about the good old days and all that. Tracking my roots, where I came from and where I'm going. But like I say,
I'm Kieran Smith, 26, professional boxer, and machinery movement specialist. I'm 16-0, fight a super welterweight, and I've got the WBC International Silver title.
My name is Peter Lynch. I'm a professional boxing coach. Kieran Smith is my brother-in-law, my employee, and also I coach him as well.
My name is Ross Stewart, and I own a gym in Glasgow called Improved Glasgow, and I've been looking after Kieran Smith's strength and conditioning for around about the last 4 years.
But still said I was quitting at 40 is just a fib. I'm still a kid that's wiping the food off of my bib. You ever wanted something so bad that you could taste it? Cried over every opportunity wasted.
Sport kept me probably out of trouble 90% of the time. As a kid, the other 10% I was in the trouble, but it could have been a lot worse. I've just got up to things kids got up to, but kind of the age of 14 boxing had taken over my life. I was training in the garage when I was in the boxing gym. I was out doing runs, and my dad used to come on in the mornings and stuff like that, and do 3 and 4 miles in the morning, stuff like that. It just kind of gradually took over my life, and I loved it, and it's been the same ever since.
Me and Kieran obviously first met when Kieran was 12-year-old, obviously when I started dating his sister.
He's actually my brother-in-law, and the first thing I said to him was, my sister introduced me to him, and I says, anybody you know, I know better. And he just looked at me, he was like that.
Kieran obviously was training in the same gym as I was coaching in. I was coaching amateurs. Kieran was probably the other coach at the time when he was amateur until 2015 when he decided to turn professional, and he asked me if I'd like to train him. I was asked when I turned professional, like, who do you want to, when I first signed my first professional deal, like, who's going to be your coach? And I was like, I had to think about it, and people would mention names, and I was like, don't want to go there, don't want to go there. And I just sat bed down and said to him, I says, look, I says, I'm turning professional. I says, will you be my full-time coach? And he's like, aye. He said, if that's what you want, and then aye. And I think the biggest thing about Ped is he's not got a big ego, whereas a lot of coaches have got big egos. They know everything, they've learned it all 100 times over, and if it's not their way, it's not right. Whereas me and Ped will stand in gyms and we'll have discussions about things, and he's just constantly like learning new stuff. Whereas a lot of people get stuck in the rut and they think they know everything, so like the coaches aren't learning anything else. Where times are changing, like things evolve or die, like.
Jack Brown clown so and do with the orange pants. 10 years later now I'm rocking the orange pants.
Kieran was brought into my life by a Thai boxer that I used to train. He was the first pro athlete I started working with a long time ago. The two of them were friends, and Primmy asked if he could bring Kieran down one day. I said that I'm too busy, he can come down if he trains with you. And then as luck would have it, Primmy stopped training, stopped competing, and I've had Kieran ever since. This session, Kieran's not in camp just now, so we had programmed for him to start camp 4 weeks ago, but now he's back working again. The training's a little bit of a mishmash at the moment, so at the moment we do some strength stuff at the start, we'll move into some higher rep stuff in the middle of the session, and then I'm going to jump in with him, we'll do a little bit of aerobic stuff towards the end for a period of time. So at the moment we're just playing around, just keeping him busy. Yeah.
Do you enjoy this kind of work, Kieran?
I enjoy it a lot.
You like it all?
No, I enjoy it, it's good fun. Big tall guy though, it's hard to master stuff like squatting, but since I came to Ross a few years ago, everything's improved drastically. Just learned so much more about my body probably. Everything to do with everything, cutting weight, strength conditioning, looking after yourself in general, out with camp, hence why I'm here all the time.
One of the important things to note though is when we first started working together, you was just before you had a double knee operation, so you get both your knees reconstructed just before we started working. So before, when I first met Kieran, he could hardly walk in a straight line. he could box well, but he could hardly walk in a straight line. Whereas now he moves like an athlete.
Right, that's good.
I'm Josh Taylor. I'm the Unified Light Welterweight World Champion, IBF, WBA, Ring Magazine, and the Muhammad Ali Trophy winner.
My name is Rob Tebbett. I am Managing Director of Boxing Social.
My name is Joshua Batsi. Professional boxer. I've had 12 fights, 12 wins, 10 knockouts. Previously, an Olympic bronze medalist.
My name's Ade Oladipo, founder of Boxing Talk with Ade, which has over 25,000 subscribers, over 1,000 videos on the channel so far as well. Aside from doing that, I work for Sky Sports. I've interviewed some of their biggest stars, Anthony Joshua, Dillian White. I work for CNN, I do ESPN Africa, Fox Sports, and now I do Talk Sport as well.
I'm Carl Frampton, 2-weight world champion, unified super bantamweight champion, hopefully going to be a 3-weight world champion, MBE also a doctor, also Zoo Magazine's coolest man of the year 2015.
In your opinion, how physically demanding is a career in boxing?
You have to train, you have to give it 100%, you know, or you're just not going to get anywhere. Or you're going to get yourself potentially really hurt because you're not in as good shape as you could possibly be, because you're maybe having to go to work and do this and do that on as well as train. You know, I'm lucky I'm able to train full time, but even then you need the weekends off because your body is in bits. You know, it's very physically demanding. You know, you're training twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day. By the time Wednesday comes, you can hardly get out of your bed. You know, your legs are tight. You can't bend down, touch your toes. Your back's tight. Your head's sore.
The training is, I mean, you have to be as fit as any, you know, as humanly possible. That's the thing with boxing. I mean, this is part of the reason why I have such love for it. I mean, there's no metaphors in boxing. There's no ball. There's no net. There's no stick. It's one man trying to impose his will on the other man. And to do that, you need to be as fit, as physically fit as possible. So it goes without saying that the training's very, 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 very difficult, but the sacrifice they have to make.
I think, do you know what, you get used to the pain, but it's a lot of pain, and it's day after day. So for example, yesterday I went to the gym, this morning I had to get up to train, and I thought I need a way out. Like I don't think I can actually do this. Yeah. And you know it is, Henry, it's only a Tuesday, so I've got to do this till Friday. So it's day 2 already, and I'm thinking, why do I already feel like this?
Maybe sometimes you have a bad day in sparring because you're tired, and you maybe wake up the next day, your body's all sore, you had a bit of a battering in sparring and things like that. You know, by the time Friday comes, you're knackered. You really do need the 2 days rest. It is very, very physically demanding.
Physically, it's obviously very difficult. I think boxers, for the most, and you hear when other sportsmen try a bit of boxing for a day and try to hit the pads or whatever, they talk about how tough it is. I think it's one of the most physically demanding sports. To be able to go and fight for 12 rounds with a minute break in between is tough. It's pretty hard. The most important thing for me though is determination to succeed, because the amount of people, and I still hear stories about all these people who, you know, beat me as an amateur and I beat FRAMPTON, and they're living off these stories, and it's nice, you know, it's well done, but they were better than me when we were kids, and they were better than me up until a certain age, but I just kept pushing on, and that's the only real difference. Like, there's more skilled fighters than me who haven't done half as much as I have, just because I have a bit more determination on them.
It's not fun getting punched in the face. So, you know, doing it day in, day out, making weight, putting your body through hell, missing your family, missing your friends and your family, and, you know, the psychological aspect of boxing as well. It's a very lonely sport. You know, I know a lot of fighters who have their moments, should we say, when they're, you know, it is difficult. They are under immense pressure.
I almost feel like young kids, and I don't know when you start to tell them this, should know that physically a part of you will not be the same after boxing. Physically, you will have some damage. It's a damaging sport. It's an unforgiving sport. You hear boxers talk about it all the time.
There are many great fighters that have never achieved what they should have achieved in the sport, not just in terms of legacy and titles, but financially as well. I think in life, doesn't matter whether you're a fighter, whether you're in business, you need a little bit of luck along the way, and things have to go your way, and you have to be willing and prepared to take the most of those situations as well, and those opportunities. And I think that's the best way to describe the life of a fighter. Everyone will get opportunities. It's if you live the life, if you prepare in the right way, if you do the right thing, and if you're good enough.
So I wrote a workout for Kieran, a bit of cardio stuff to do. He then scrubbed it out, came up with his own workout, which basically involved using every bit of equipment in the gym. So the gym's not particularly busy, but there's 3 coaches in the gym who are now kicking off. Kieran's trying to take up the whole gym. And they're blaming me for that. So now I've got to change that.
You're redesigning the gym, Kieran? You're redesigning the gym?
Aye. You what's a business partner?
Yeah, I've worked with a lot of athletes over the years, and obviously a lot more general population people as well, but even in comparison with the athletes, Kieran's a different level in terms of the work he puts in. With Kieran, it's not even necessarily what he's doing when I'm asking him to do stuff or when Ped's asking him to do stuff, because Ped and I speak about it, it's the same in the boxing gym. It's out with that. I'll say take a rest day, you've done enough, chill out, and then I'll go and run 10 miles, and then I'll jump in and do a swimming session in the evening. Like me, I told you to rest. So I know, but I don't need to rest. And you know, for me as a coach, a lot of time spent trying to pull Kieran back and trying to stop him from getting injured.
Don't need to motivate him to train, that's for sure. He doesn't need to get motivated. It is more a fact of looking at him and assessing him to see if there's maybe a stage of fatigue kicking in, and you need to say to him, look, take a couple of nights off here and there to recharge the batteries. But apart from that, you know, I'll let him do what he does, because that's what if Kieran takes a day off, he feels like he's missed something, so he's missing out, so he wants to get back anyway, so I just let him train out. Kieran stays in camp right through. He maybe has a week or two off maximum to maybe go and recharge the batteries, but apart from that, he's trains right through, and as he's getting older, he's actually staying in the gym even longer and longer, you know, because he wants to always improve, so it's good.
It's all I've ever done. I still believe that's my trait today. Like, I just work hard. I don't believe I'm any more gifted than the next man. It's just hard work, perseverance. Just keep pushing.
Easy work. Hard enough for me. And it's a bit extra for him, so it's good.
It's good that you support each other like that, you know?
I don't know if I didn't hear much support coming from him, did you? All I heard was abuse.
So Ped, this is your company. Do you want to tell me what it's called and a little bit about it?
Yeah, it's called Lifting Services 24/7. Basically, we're a lifting company that's available 24/7. And basically,
basically we move anything from a couple of 100 kilos to a couple of tons or 10 tons into spaces that you think isn't possible, and remove them from places you think isn't possible.
Obviously, you're his coach. You're also his boss. That must be quite interesting. Like, I guess it must be a bit weird for you, because in an ideal world, he's not here. He's dedicated fully to boxing.
Yeah, no, listen, Kieran's got a good work ethic anyway, you know, so whatever he wants to do, he works hard anyway, so he's a good help away from that, you know. But the other side of it is, listen, his main dream is to become a top-level professional boxer, which hopefully does one day, you know.
Yeah.
And given me being his coach and his boss, I can give him the flexibility to hopefully realise his dream, you know.
That is very fortunate.
Yeah.
I guess in a way though, like, the more he's in here, the less he's achieving his dream, right?
Of course it is. But at the end of the day, you know yourself, at this stage of his career, money. But that's the level of boxers' careers. They don't make a lot of money, so they've got to work sometime. They've got to make money somewhere, you know. And this gives Kieran a chance to make some money as well. So he's still training away. He still trains after his work and before his work, so it's good as well.
Well, I get asked still to this day. People ask me how much you get paid a week for being a boxer. It's crazy. They think that's like football. They think that you just get money handed to you every week. Like, you just get a wage in your bank every week for being a professional boxer. It's absolutely crazy.
People don't understand how
Nah, they've absolutely no idea how this sport works at all. Of course it's hard, but like, these are the times that make you. Like I say, I'm not going to complain about making money. It is what it is, and when I get the big opportunity, then I'll go full time again, and I'll take the right fight at the right time.
What are you munching on there, Daz?
Wee twirl.
Yeah.
Wee potato crisps.
This is the athlete's diet.
It's athlete's diet. That's
Yeah.
it. Retired athlete's diet.
Yeah, athlete's diet. Kieran, what you got?
That's what I looks like, innit? Fucking feet. I've got a wee belt with a piece. Looks like a dog's dinner.
Oh wow, look at that.
Coconut curry chicken, lentils, super green salad, beetroot.
If you'd looked back to 2012 and said Kieran Smith's got the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, nobody would have believed you. But I made it, and I like it. I made sure it. I made sure that I was there. Just through hard work is just the same as I've kind of done through my whole career. As a professional, things went really well, and I had quite a big chance. I was supposed to fight for the WBO European title in London a couple of years ago, and I got 6 stitches above my eye 2 weeks before it. I got a big massive cut with an elbow in sparring. Totally accidental, but these things happen. I signed with MTK, and things have been flowing since then, and it's just the start of this year. I'm trying to push on to big things and big titles.
Tell me about your boxing career, Daz.
Kieran will tell you about it. Lazy. Always liked the war. It was alright. Probably won as much as I lost, but got shafted a few times there and fucking jacked it.
Yeah.
Aye. A few one too many shaftings.
What do you remember of Kieran from those times?
I remember for the times. I remember watching Kieran when he was 16, boxing Felix Cash in the final of the British. Showboating and all that, won it at the park. That was his British title. He was always the best in the gym. He was phenomenal. But for then it was kind of the lead up to the Commonwealth Games and all that. So I think that there was 4 boys for the gym, 3 boys. Three boys. Him, Scott Forrest, and Big Ross Henderson, they were all got the Commonwealth Games, so the gym was buzzing, late times it was a really good gym at that time. But, I always just remember him training like he does it now. It's never been a problem with him training. Like, I used to train well, I used to go runs with him and all that, up hills and hill sprints and brutal.
You didn't decide to keep it going yourself?
Oh, brutal.
From a boxing perspective, I'm not a boxing purist, so I know he's very, very good. I don't know what the difference between a British champion boxer and a world champion boxer is, but from what I understand, that he has all the makings of somebody who can make it all the way to the top. From a condition perspective and from a mentality perspective, the only thing that will hold him back is his boxing ability. So for me, again, going back to the fulfilling your potential thing, if he gets the British title level and he gets beat by a better boxer, then fair enough. That's you, mate. You've reached a level. It wasn't your ability. It wasn't your work ethic that held you back. It was your ability. For Kieran, it's never going to be his work ethic that stops him from making it to the next level. It will be his ability or the strength of his opponent. So I think he can make it as far as his ability will take him, and how far his ability will take him, that's the boxing men to decide.
His attribute says he's 154 pounds, he's 6'2", he's a southpaw, he's got fast hands, he's slick, he's elusive. It's very, very difficult to come against, to get a fighter like that, Listen, I think Kieran's very, very, very good. And I think he'll surpass British level, European level. I think he could complete, and I think he could go on world level in the very future, in close future, maybe a couple of years down the line, I'd imagine he would. You've got to look at, say, what Josh Taylor done. Josh Taylor, I believe, is maybe a couple of years older than Kieran. So why not in a couple of years' time be hitting the same heights where he is, Yeah.
What's it been like for you, sort of following his career?
Good guy. I've missed one of his fights when he was about 16, he'll tell you exactly.
I know what the fight was. It's unbelievable.
I was working up in Elgin, couldn't make it.
It was a Thursday night. Thursday night dinner show.
It's a 100 Sport Club and I missed that, and he's never let me forget it.
The boxers that seem to make the sort of big money or regular money or whatever you want to call it, tend to be the ones that have quite a big act or character outside of the ring. Do you think it's fair that in boxing there's this expectation that you perform in and out of the ring?
Yeah, yes and no, but it's a hard question to answer because, yeah, you've got to have this big character and people love to hate people. That's what it is, people love to hate. So, if you're this big character that's hated, people will know you because people actually love to hate. Whereas, like, I'm not saying people don't hate me, but I'm not a big, like, pretend character like that just goes on and spraffs, and I've not got time to do it. I haven't got the time. Just talking nonsense constantly on social media and just acting like an idiot.
You don't want to do it either because you want to be yourself, don't you?
It's not me. Like, it'd be different if that's how I ran about day-to-day life, but I don't. Like, I'm not 5 anymore. I don't run about acting like a clown in day-to-day life. I'm just a normal guy.
It feels like in boxing, it's the only sport where it's not purely a meritocracy. You know, you have these other sports like football and rugby and basketball where it's enough to just achieve your potential and be as good as you can. And if you do that, if you're good enough, you'll get to a certain level, you earn a certain amount of money. In boxing, it seems as though there's an expectation to perform outside of the ring as well as inside of the ring. What are your thoughts on that, on the fairness of it, on the pressures that come with it, and how do you think all this has evolved in the social media era?
It's a tough one. Initially, sort of 30 years ago, the promoter would just be that, promote you. There was none of that. You didn't need to do the self-promoting yourself. It helped, right? I mean, you look at people like Prince Nassim Hamed, it helped to self-promote, but that wasn't the be-all and end-all. You got in, done your job, and your promoter was the guy that was going to do everything behind the scenes. Now, fighters are asked not only to be a great boxer or world championship boxer, not only to have their O remain intact, now you've got to go out there and speak like a Tyson Fury or a Conor McGregor or a WWE star. So, I mean, you compare that to other sports, right? No one's going to ask Mo Salah to jump on the mic and sell tickets for Anfield, right? That's done. But in boxing, you've not only got to be great in your sport, you've almost got to become something that you're uncomfortable at being.
I think you've got to have a wee bit, there's a bit of a pressure, you've got to have a wee bit of a character about you, a bit of personality about you, so your fans can engage with you and sort of relate to you in some sort of level, and then, you know, I like that guy, I'm going to go and watch him fight, I want to see him doing well.
Outside of getting your head down and winning fights, if you're not a big social media star and that's not something that you're interested in doing, or you're not very good at it, then you are going to have to take a longer path potentially. Is it fair? No, but it's a business. It's the same reason why when it comes to football transfers, a football club will look at, okay, if I sign this player, then we're more likely to get X amount of revenue in this territory because he's a huge star over there.
It's now a case of a competition of who can now talk the most trash. Some of these fighters don't want to do it. I can tell fighters are uncomfortable doing it, but they've realized they had to do it. O'Hara Davis is one that's almost kind of molded into the guy that has to do that. He doesn't want to do that. You look at other sports like MMA, there's a guy called Henry Cejudo. This guy is an Olympic gold medalist. He's a 2-weight world champion in MMA. And this guy's having to come out with this gimmick now to try and sell fights. He's had enough, he's retired. He said, I'm done, I can't do it no more. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, but in the era of social media, these fighters do need to understand that they do need to create a social media presence. Does that mean changing your character to become a WWE-like character? No, but you do need to have a social media presence. You've got to.
You get prospects, good prospects coming through that have not got the promoter with the TV rights, so they're not able, the promoters are not interested in having a show for them because they've not got TV rights, or, you know, they're maybe not selling enough tickets, you know, things like that, so it can be hard. So a lot of the time, these fighters go unnoticed. They've got maybe the belts, but they go unnoticed because they're not getting the following, the backing. But I think with the power of social media, if you've got a couple of these belts, domestic belts, or, you know, sort of interim belts and things like that, continental belts, these are belts that should get you in the rankings and do put you in the rankings. But then you can use your social media to then call out fighters, you know. Maybe not be disrespectful, but, you know, say, all right, if this is the guy I want to fight, I think I'll beat him up, I'll beat his ass, I'll whoop him up, and, you know, you've got to cause a wee bit of controversy to to get your name out there. Like, he's calling me out, and and then that's what then sparks the rivalry that then creates public interest.
And what would you say to fighters that don't really want to do that?
Do it, because if you want to progress and you're not getting to where you want to go, then do it, because that might be the way that you might get people talking about you and get people taking notice of you, and it builds up yourself and your fights and stuff like that. It's the power of social media, and it does definitely work for a lot of people.
I know there's some people who maybe just aren't into that and they want to rely on their skill and ability to get them to the top, but I don't think it's enough, and that's harsh, but it's true. Even if you are that type of character who doesn't like it, some people feel like it's a bit show-offy, whatever. Maybe think about getting someone else to do it for you, someone else to run it for you. I think it's extremely important to be able to promote yourself on these social media platforms.
I just think it's life, isn't it? I mean, you've got to be interesting. It's not rocket science to know that if you're not interesting, if you don't have a story, and it's not just your job. I mean, if you've got a good promotional team, it's our job. I'm your mouthpiece, right? So, if you're any top fighter with me, I'm the one, and our guys are the one, and our machines are the one who are pumping your brand, your profile 24/7, when you're sleeping, when you're in the gym. It's going to take too much out of you to do that yourself. Some guys are great self-promoters, and I look particularly at where it can start to affect you. I look at the Deontay Wilder fight against Tyson Fury. Now, Deontay Wilder's come out with about 462 excuses so far, but one thing I do believe is he doesn't have a promoter, right? So he is constant, like they really push those guys to the wire of delivering. Whether it's messages on YouTube, phone calls, press conferences, talk shows, etc. Fury the same. But Fury does have Bob Arum, he does have Frank Warren, he does have MTK, so he has these voices as well that are moving this machine around. Deontay Wilder, although he has PBC, has no individual speaking up for him. So I feel that sometimes you can do too much. You have to remember your fundamentals in sport, in business, and what are the basic things you have to do to perform. And sometimes you can move out of that zone. You can start getting a little bit carried away. Yeah, I'm my own promoter. That's why I hate fighters who say, I've got my own promotional company. Fucking, what are you talking about? No, you haven't. It's just a company. It's like I always joke with Charlos, Yeah, we are Lions only. All right, Lions only. So when you do a show and it loses a couple of million, are you going to stick in half as a co-promoter? No, you don't want that life. You don't want that responsibility. It sounds good, doesn't it? But the reality is, you're a fighter. I'm not going to start going, what? Actually, I've been thinking about it. I reckon I can get in there myself and throw a few left hooks. I can't fight. You can't run a promotional company. So let's just have it real. This is the way it is. And there's got to be a synergy, but there's got to be that feeling of sort of, that mutual respect between a fighter and a promoter to know what you're good at. And I'm not saying that fighters shouldn't develop their own brands and have their own companies. Of course they should, but let's just get it real. We do what we do, you do what you do. Together, if we get it right, we'll go all the way. But if you work as hard as you can, and I work as hard as I can, I'll present you with the opportunities and you will have every chance to succeed. You are right about social media. Fighters do have to do more, and some fighters work very hard on their social media and it helps. I mean, a good example is probably Ryan Garcia, who has built his entire following through Instagram. He ain't had a proper fight yet. And he's one of the biggest names in the sport already. So I like a solid social media campaign and presence backed up with a great work ethic and a lot of talent. And with that combination, you're in a good spot.
Kieran's not one for shouting out names, to be honest. We have discussed about it, and at the end of the day, we don't shout about names on social media, or Kieran doesn't shout out names on social media. But behind the doors, he has spoke to his management and he has asked for fights. Listen, there's less talented fighters than that shout their mouths off every day, and to be fair, it seems to work for them. I think it's more entertainment and try to get the fans in. If that's what you want to do and you can make money out of it, then why not? That's the way I see it. If that's their personality, these people do tend to get found out in the ring though. Most of them can't really back it up, for what I've seen anyway.
How important is your diet and nutrition getting it on point? How hard is it to keep it going, like with working a full-time job like this? Most people want to binge you at the end of the day.
Oh, of course, it's hard. Like, he's brought a piece today for the first time. I don't know how long. Like, he's snack bands and McDonald's and they're eating, they eat some amount of crap like when they get a minute to stop. And I've just got a piece of me. But it doesn't really bother me, yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard some days.
Yeah. And and like, obviously you don't have a fight booked at the moment. Is it difficult? Is it more difficult when you don't have that goal to work towards?
Probably, aye. That's what I've always kind of said. I train all the time, but I've always said, like, to people that always ask me, like, how do you do this and how, I'm like, because I need to do it. Like, of course it would be hard, like a normal person, to be religiously sticking to a diet all the time and stuff like that. They're like, oh, I could never do it. I'm like, well, if I was you, I could never do it either, probably. But it's all about the end goal, innit?
Yeah. So you still have the belief that, like, it is all going to pay off eventually.
Definitely.
If you didn't have that. If you didn't have that.
I'll be healthy as
If you didn't have that belief, do you think that you would keep going with it all?
Nah, if I didn't have that belief, I probably wouldn't have been pro. You know what I mean?
Yeah. See, for you, Daz, from your perspective, obviously, like, Kieran's ability is not really in doubt for people that know about him.
Aye.
But as his mate, do you ever sort of worry that it's not going to happen?
I don't know. I mean, I know boxing as well, and I know the politics of it, and I know it's not easy to get these shots. But for some people it happens, for some people it doesn't. But like Kieran works as hard as anybody I know, so I've no doubt that one day there will be a big shot, a big title. Hopefully, hopefully, because it'd be good for us all to go to as well.
Well, that would be the real travesty, wouldn't it? Seeing how hard he works, the way he lives his life, the diet, the dedication. If he didn't get a shot, what would that say about the sport?
It tells its own story, doesn't it? It tells its own story. That's, I mean, I think your face needs to fit as well at times because, like Kieran, it's maybe not that he's avoided, but like it's a big risk fight for the likes of matchroom boys, and that's where you need to be. You need to be boxing on like matchroom shows and stuff like that to get the big fights. But why they've got to fight a 6'2" southpaw at 54 pounds? Know what I mean?
I'm in the Who Needs Them club a bit for people in the very top that are trying to push on again. Like, why would they want to fight me? Risk versus reward. Big risk, low reward for them, and I understand that. If I was in their position, I'd probably be the same as well because they want to push on even further. So it's just a rock and hard place, isn't it?
Bigger names in boxing with potentially the bigger followings probably don't want to fight Kieran because it's a tricky fight for them and there's not necessarily a big upside. But then with Kieran, what's he supposed to do? Continue fighting journeymen forever? You know, it's difficult.
Boxing, there's a lot of politics in boxing. A lot to do with which promoter you're signed with and things like that. I mean, I don't think promoters, your Eddie Hearns doesn't like to put these fighters in with Frank Warren's fighters, etc. Kieran's sitting with non-promoter at the minute, no promoter at the minute, so he's just on a management contract with MTK. So it's just like waiting on the shout, you know. That's all we're waiting on the shout to get a big fight.
In boxing today, there's this concept of the sort of who needs them club. You know, these fighters who are talented and undefeated and are trying to take themselves to the next level with a big fight, with the right name, but they just haven't got the commercial pulling power to do that. What's your advice to these fighters and how would you suggest they kind of take their careers to the next level?
I think unless you can sell tickets, you'll just need to touch lucky, and you know, you'll need a lucky break, maybe step in last minute or something like that and beat up a prospect, maybe on TV, and I think it just shows you the importance of selling tickets, because I was never one of them guys as who needs him, because I'd always sold a ticket. So a promoter is always going to give me a chance because it's helping to line their pocket. But if you got extremely good fighters who don't sell a ticket, why would a promoter put him in against a guy who does sell tickets, who isn't as good as him, and he could potentially beat him? It's like, I don't know. It's a hard one to explain, but I suppose that's the business side of boxing.
The thing is, Henry, I'm a beneficiary of someone that went through the amateur system, did well, and is benefiting now as a professional. But the reality is that not everyone, has that, not success rate, but not everyone has that exposure. Like you said, some fighters are very good, they're undefeated, but no one's heard of them.
In terms of professional, folk will say, no, he's a good fighter, he's got good potential and stuff, but I don't think my name really got put on the map until I fought the likes of Ahara Davis. I think that was the one that put my name out there, and people started taking notice. So you've got to be lucky in terms of competition and rivalry. You've got to have a bit of rivalry there where people are going to get engage in the pre-fight build-up. Again, you've got to have a good promoter. It's got some TV rights as well. So all that comes into play as well. If you've got a rivalry there and the TV rights, and you can make these fights happen, then that can be a lot of people talk about your name.
I can't tell you how much it frustrates me. And it frustrates me because I see these boxers, I speak to these boxers quite a lot, and they could be ranked number 20 and no one wants to give them a crack because they are a risk, but they're not a ticket seller. So it's almost like, well, why am I going to give my boxer a chance against him? If he beats my boxer, who is he? And that's not how it should work. It should be like a fucking league table. 20 fights 19, he jumps to 8, and that's how it should be. But boxing isn't like that because we don't have a world governing body. We've got all these sanctioning bodies that are clearly fractured and don't want to work with each other. All these television companies and promoters that don't want to work with each other. So everyone literally just picking what they want from it. And you get good boxers on the outside who maybe don't have a flash promoter, not signed to an Eddie Hearn or a Lou DiBella or a Bob Arum who can talk well, and they're just left fighting for scraps because no one wants to give them a chance because they can't. How can you not be given a chance because you can't sell tickets? Like, what?
Look, man, life's not fair. But it's not to say it can't be done. If you look at Terence Crawford, who's one of the pound-for-pound best fighters in the world, pay-per-view fighter, he's a 7-figure fighter. He's not Muhammad Ali on the microphone. He's not Conor McGregor. He's not Floyd Mayweather. Ultimately, his skill set is what's brought him to the top table, and he's had to win, and he's had to keep his place there by winning and his skills. Would it have been a bit easier if he could talk on the microphone like Conor McGregor? Of course, but not everybody's like that. I know fighters, you know fighters. Everybody can name at least one fighter who hasn't been given opportunities that they deserve, or are too good for their own good. I mean, boxing has this kind of, again, a misconception of protecting the O. Fighters aren't willing to give somebody the opportunity to take their O unless they're bringing something to the table. If you don't sell tickets, you don't have a big audience, and people don't know who you are, how are you supposed to entice somebody into the ring? Which is when you get fighters who have a lot of talent and a lot of ability, but maybe not the opportunity. They will only really get an opportunity if the deck is stacked heavily against them. So they'll get an opportunity, but they might only get 2 weeks to train. They might have to cut a lot of weight. They'll go and have to fight on the A-side fighters show. They'll get paid less than they would have got or that they deserve.
Winning is one thing, but like you said, entertaining is also another thing, because there's some fighters that when they get to a certain level, they may lose, but the fans find them entertaining, whether it's because they know they come with that fan-friendly style, which doesn't always win, or whether they know, okay, this guy, he's going to come and put it all on the line, or whether it's like, actually, this guy is a very funny personality on social media, so actually I want to see him fight, whether he's going to win, lose or draw. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, there's a lot of it that goes behind it, and like you said, there's pressure to win. There's pressure not only to win, but to win in style. But you know what it is? I think this is all part of the package. I don't think any boxer is necessarily exempt from it.
those fighters that, you know, the Who Needs Them club have started to become very attractive to promoters because they move quicker than others. You know, a good example of those in the past is Gennady Golovkin, you know, who I can't tell you was in the biggest Who Needs Them club for so many years, where I was avoiding him for my fighters. You know what I mean? Like, I'll be honest, who would fight Gennady Golovkin? Because at the time, he didn't have an HBO contract. At the time, he wasn't filling arenas. So there was no benefit to fight Gennady Golovkin other than, and he didn't even have a mainstream belt at that time either. When you look at it now, I feel like promoters have started to look at those, you know, Who Needs Them fighters and say, well, hang on, if these guys are willing to move faster. Another good example of two guys that we represent at the moment is Israel Madrimov, the 154-pounder, who's had a handful of fights and was already ranked number 2 with the WBA. And also MJ, Akhmadaliev, who's just beaten Danny Roman for the unified super bantamweight title. Now, these are two guys from Uzbekistan, right? And they come, yeah, you can say that, oh, the Who Needs Them club. That's just an excuse for lazy promoting. That's just an excuse for not thinking outside the box. If you can fight, if you're entertaining, then I can sell it.
Of course, you know, if a fighter has a promoter, they're in a very strong position. However, there are unsigned fighters. What would you say to them? How would you advise them? What kind of pathway is there for them, and how would they go about getting a promoter if that is the only way?
Very difficult. You have to get noticed. You have to get seen, and generally that comes by your performance. It doesn't matter if you're on a small hall show. If you're a good fighter, if you're knocking people out, you will get noticed. Don't worry about that. In terms of your progression with the governing bodies, again, it's not rocket science. The governing bodies that have more fighters in those divisions, that pay more sanction fees, that have better relationship, it's not corrupt, it's just life. They're going to have a better chance of getting their fighters ranked. So if you're a young, unsigned fighter, my advice to you is keep knocking people out, keep looking entertaining, keep banging the drum, and you will get seen. There is no high quality fighters on a small hall circuit that don't get recognised. Simple as that. I know every fighter on the small hall circuits, and if there's one that I believe can go all the way, I'm swarming all over him like a fly.
He's really at the stage where he needs to get the chance now, for his head mentally, because he pushes himself that hard in the gym that I think now he needs the opportunity so that it's not wasted. He gets it at the right time, you know.
Kieran and I have had a lot of conversations over the last couple of weeks, and ultimately he's an athlete who's in his prime. And an athlete who's in his prime needs to keep his head in the game and needs to push through the current moment of hardship that he's faced with, of just constant inactivity, constant uncertainty as to when the next fight's going to be or not going to be. He needs to keep his head in the game. He's not 35, he's also not 18. He's bang in the middle of his prime. He should be further ahead than where he is at the moment. And if it had not been for cuts and injuries to both himself and opponents, I believe that he would be further ahead. He's just got to keep his head in the game. It's a really important time that is testing him, but I think he'll come out the other side of this test stronger.
Well, it's very frustrating because I believe that styles make fights, and listen, I think once the right fight comes, when Kieran gets stepped up a level, that's when we'll see the best of Kieran, which hopefully we get the Commonwealth title or even a British title shot, and I think we'll see the best of Kieran in their fights.
What I want at the sport is to always be able to say I gave it my best, and that's whether make it or not make it. Whereas people are scared of that. People want to kind of beat around the bush and they don't want to find out what they actually have. Whereas I want to find out. I want to find out where I can go here, and I want to turn around and say, I gave everything.
have to link to another shift.
So finally, just thoughts on the coronavirus. We're doing this via video link today because we've all been locked down, we're all in quarantine. We don't know what's going to happen with boxing. What are your thoughts on how it might impact the sport, short term, long term, and how you think it might affect the sort of Who Needs Them club?
I think the small hall shows are gone for the foreseeable. How does a small hall promoter put on a show? Most of the time these guys lose money because they don't have the TV money coming in. So if you can't sell a ticket because of coronavirus, how are you going to make money unless you're on TV? So I think small hall shows are just going to be a thing of the past for the foreseeable future anyway.
It could end a lot of careers prematurely because these shows aren't happening and folk are having to get money in the bank and go back to work and stuff like that. You know, it's I feel that, you know, what keeps the sport alive is folk coming through and journeymen and, you know, middle sort of grassroots sort of level sport. It keeps the sport alive. There's only a handful of fighters at the top that are making big money.
You can sort of see the desperation now in their eyes where they've not had a fight for 4 months, and we're used to seeing these guys fight once or twice a year. I think boxers, and I'm talking the top level ones now, will fight 3-4 times a year like it used to be in the 90s, just because they don't ever want to go through this period again.
Now, long term, it depends when we get crowds back, if there's a vaccine. I really don't know. I think that the major fights, the major pay-per-view fights, kind of your heavyweight title fights, will go abroad to places where you can have a crowd. Now, Wilder Fury 3, talk is of it going to China, Joshua Pulev, Middle East. And then beyond that, really, is kind of who knows.
Yes, we know there is no gate to generate the revenue that will stop you from making those pay-per-view fights, or certainly the fights in between a really good Saturday night fight night and a pay-per-view. You know, the likes of the Callum Smiths, the Josh Warringtons, you know, the Billy Joe Saunders, these kind of people. Because without pay-per-view of those fights, it's so difficult to generate revenue. Josh Warrington, great example. If we did Josh Warrington against Kanzu, which is a fight that's planned, the unification fight, we would take £1.5 million on the gate. There's no gate. So we're £1.5 million light. So who's going to swallow that? I don't mind swallowing some. I ain't swallowing the whole lot.
There's going to be fighters who have to take risks as well. There may be fighters who have been guided along kind of carefully, fighting guys, knocking them over, looking good, making a few quid. But now I think it's going to get to the point, because of this pandemic, that promoters are saying, for exciting fights on the TV, you have to take a bit of a risk.
A lot of the times, these domestic rivalries don't happen because folk are chasing bigger fights and this and that, and the boxing politics get in the way, and you miss out on what I believe are 9 times out of 10 the most cracking fights are like the small hall shows and domestic rivalries. They're always good dust-ups and good fights, and you can't beat fights like that.
The good news for fight fans is you're going to see a lot more competitive fights. You're going to see a lot more domestic fights as well. Fight Camp, which looks like will start at the end of July, is a great example of just that. And we've only got 5 fights on each card, which is the same as any broadcast you'd ever see. But normally we would have another 5 fights that would happen before that. And they would give us opportunity to build prospects or put the one-sided fights on, try and keep them off TV. Now, with only 5 fights a night and 5 broadcast fights, I can't afford a poor fight. So, and you know, I want the 5 fights to be as close to they can be as 50-50 across the board.
What would you say to someone who's in the sort of position we talked about today, who's struggling in their career, they don't know where they're going to go, they don't know what lies ahead?
Stay ready, always stay in shape, and if the opportunity arises, you have to take it, and it's about taking risks as well at the right time. I had a few risky fights in my career, and I took them, and I've succeeded. It's about taking these calculated risks, and hopefully they pay off.
Keep doing what you can do at home, keep yourself in good shape, and when it opens up a little bit, you get back to training with your coaches and sparring again. You're hitting the room running because you're in good shape. So keep on it and let's do it.
Once you have life, then there's always hope. When you die, there's no hope because it means you're dead. But once there's life, there's always hope. And I think for the fighters that can't get the fights that they want or the opportunity that they want, just remain positive. Your breakthrough will come, but it's just a matter of being consistent. Again, I'll say it back here and I'll say to you, it's very easy for me to give all these talks and to say be positive, do this, do that, but that's all that can be done. Just remain consistent in what you're doing. Your breakthrough will come, man. Your breakthrough will come, and these fighters, they'll be ready to take it, unless they're fighting me, because I'll always be ready. Let me get that in there.
I just think stay positive. You know, it's easy to say stay positive. It's not just fighters. There's a lot of people in the same boat. You know, there's a lot of businesses that have huge amount of costs monthly, you know, with no revenue, no income coming in. Some people that are unemployed, some people that are struggling to deal with this mentally. You just got to take each day as it comes. You know, when you're struggling mentally, I think the best solution is just to keep life simple. Don't overthink things. Don't start thinking about the future. Where am I going? What's my long-term strategy, medium-term strategy? Short-term strategy. Wake up, write down 5 things you've got to do today and tick them off one by one. And when you complete that, you will get that sense of fulfillment, get that sense that you're moving in the right direction. Do the fundamentals right, live life right, and work as hard as you can. They are the basic rules to make sure that you will find success.
Take the risk, roll the dice, the opportunity will come. And I think those guys need to just knuckle down now. This is the time now where you start to realize who's been training behind closed doors and who's been sitting down eating pizza and drinking beer. I think the Who Need You Guys clubs would have been training their asses off, just waiting for the opportunity. And I think that phone call is going to come very soon for all of them. And I think they're going to surprise a lot of people.
Thanks very much. Remember, the tide always turns. The tide always turns.
I hope so. Good luck, mate.
Cheers, mate. Thanks.
Alright, Kieran, what you got there?
The stewards decided to put the above final eliminator contest to post bids to be submitted in accordance with the terms and conditions of the board's head office by 12 noon on Wednesday the 8th of April 2019. The contest to take place by the end of July 2020. Kieran Smith versus Anthony Fowler.
So that's an email. Is that an email from the British board?
It's just came out on the British Boxing Board of Control's website, so I think it's a monthly thing, isn't it?
It's a notice. It's just a notice.
So what do you think about that? Sorry, what do you think about that?
Hopefully it comes off, but I won't hold my breath. There's just that many different routes in boxing now. It's not a mandatory fight for any of the matchroom boys either, so who knows.
What do you think, Paul? Is that pretty much it?
I mean, the possibility that the fight can happen, depending on what Mr. Hearn decides his route for Anthony Fowler, and I would think he's trying to make the fight for Scots Fitzgerald against Fowler, and the board have probably said here there's other guys within the mix, James Metcalf, Kieran Smith, they have to be there or thereabouts to get their opportunities. So I think it's good from the board that they've done something like that, so hopefully something comes of it at some stage.
So we're just keeping our fingers crossed this could be a real opportunity. Is this the kind of thing you get quite a lot though? Do you get opponents thrown around and then nothing happens kind of thing?
Not by the board, but obviously by just management side and asked about different opponents and stuff like that.
So this opportunity could potentially be something a bit different from what's been talked about before.
Hopefully.
Yeah, fingers crossed for you both. Paul?
The cream always comes to the top.
You've reached the end of the documentary. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. First of all, please subscribe to Motivedia. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. Like the video. Share it with your friends or whoever might want to watch this. And all that good stuff. I'm a guy called Henry. Please go and subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's a guy called Henry. My social media is @a guy called Henry. All the links will be in the description. Also, please go and follow Kieran Smith across social media. His links will also be in the description. Cheers, guys. Have a good day.